Hey guys, Michael here. How's everyone doing today? Well, it is May the 6th, 2014, out here in Southeast Virginia. And I got to tell you, it doesn't feel like May. It feels more like, at least for around here, February. And I'm not complaining. I like these temperatures in the 60s. It's been fantastic. The weather has been so-so. We've had a lot of rain, which kind of, ruins any possibility of going out. You can still go, but just for a quick day hike, it's not worth getting soaked. But I digress. I want to go ahead and get started with this video, which is going to be a continuation of the series From Concept to Cutting Edge, the series where I'm taking you through the step-by-step process that I follow when making a knife. And as I've done in previous videos, I want to reiterate to you guys that this is just my process. It's not the only way, it's maybe not the best way, and there is no real right way. It's just the way that I do it. And I'm always learning. Every day I go out here and I crank out a new knife. I find a better way of doing something, a smarter way of doing something. Really, you're only limited by your skill set, your access to the right tools, and your creative imagination, and that's about it. Now, I really thought long and hard about the handle and trying to figure out the best way to do this last video, and that's one of the reasons it's taken so long. I've actually shot it 3 times, so I didn't keep any of the footage. One of the footage didn't come out at all, and 2 of them I just wasn't happy with it. I think the only way that I'm going to get to do this video the right way is to break this last one off into 2 sections. The first section, this one, is going to be informational, where I'm going to talk to you guys about the various types of materials that are out there, what to consider when making a choice. And then in the next video, I've got a knife out there that I want to put a handle on, and we're going to go ahead and go through that process and videotape that as well. So it shouldn't be long. It shouldn't just take a couple of minutes. I really just want to hit the high points. There's no way I'm going to be able to cover everything that's out there. It's just not going to happen. I just want to really break this down into a couple of categories and kind of explain to you what type of materials are in those categories. And I apologize for the little moron and Vin Weasel in the Fast and Furious up here. And I broke this down originally into 2 categories, but I really feel that there's 3. The first 2 categories that I came up with for the types of material that you're going to consider when making a knife handle would be natural. Then, of course, you've got your synthetic or your man-made material. But in all honesty, after thinking about it, there is a third option, and that's kind of a hybrid, and I'll explain that one a bit later. Basically, it's pretty commonsensical when you talk about natural material. What are we talking about? Things that grow in nature, things that are available out there. You don't have to do anything. You just walk out there, get it, and use it. Those would be your woods, bone, antler, leather, those types of things. Those are considered natural. And yes, leather you may have to process it to get your leather, but it still falls under the category of natural material. Those are your traditional looks. Those are the things most people see and consider and think, this is a knife handle. Now that's me. I'm a bit of a traditionalist. I do have some room in my heart for a couple of other types of material, but not many. At the end of the day, if I was forced to make a decision, I'm going to go with natural material, something like wood or leather or some kind of a combination of the 2. What are the advantages of using wood? Easily accessible. They're everywhere. They're a traditional look. They're timeless. They're never going to go out of style if that's something that's important to you. They are easy to work with, extremely affordable, and just all around great products. And they're fantastic to learn on. What are the disadvantages? Well, there are a few, and the main disadvantage is it does require some maintenance. My position on the matter, if I've bought a knife, essentially a tool, especially one that maybe is carbon steel, which is what I prefer, I've already dedicated a part of my routine in life to take care of that material, to take care of that item. And if I'm going to be taking care of the steel, making sure that the edge is taken care of, making sure that the finish doesn't get tarnished too bad and messed up, I'm right there. If I'm going to oil the blade down, I have absolutely no problem oiling up the handle as well. And as long as you maintain and preserve your natural materials, they should last you a lifetime. So I'm okay with that. Others, they may not be. So I do list it as a con, simply because I think a lot of people do, especially today, unfortunately, want to have products that just take care of themselves, basically. So that's why I list it that way. Okay, so let's talk about the man-made materials. But before I do that, I need to step in here. I'm getting ready to drop off a package to Jeremiah Brown, who was the winner of Copperhead. He finally got a hold of me at the last minute, and I've got his address, and I'm getting ready to send this out to him. And quick shout out to you, Jeremiah. I hope you get it quickly. I hope you enjoy it. It's brought me a lot of use out in the wood, and I really hope it does the same for you. Just know that this is a knife that one of my earlier knives, one of the first ones I've made. I was very happy with this, very proud of this. This was something that I wanted to hold on to, but I felt like doing this contest. I've really, to all you guys out there that subscribe and watch my videos, I can't thank you guys enough. It is hard for me to get rid of this knife because it meant so much to me, but I owe it to you guys to thank you guys for all the stuff that you do for me, and it's more important for me to send this out and thank one of my subscribers, and I'll do more of these contests coming up in the future, but it just means more to thank you guys for what you've done for me over the past 11 or 10 months that I've been pushing this channel. So thank you guys. I really appreciate it. And Jeremiah, I really appreciate you as well, and congratulations for winning the contest. Guys, give me just a minute. We'll cut right back in here and I'll finish talking about knives. So where were we? Yeah, handle materials. Alright, well, the next category that I've broken handle material down into is synthetic or man-made. This is going to be your micarta, your G10, carbon fiber, paracord, all those types of things. And basically anything that is generated and created by man would fall into this category. It's great material. It's great stuff. Corian, that's another one. That's actually a really good one. I guess if I was going to say what the biggest advantage is to the man-made material is the fact that it's some of it's pretty well bulletproof. Stain-wise, you're not going to deal with a lot of staining issues. There's countless things that you can make into handle materials using a man-made synthetic type process. Basically when you talk about things like micarta, it's basically an epoxy infused material, and I say material because it's blank. Insert your favorite material here. You can do anything from fabric to paper to leaves, for God's sakes. I mean, you think about it, if you can pretty much do it. Now, I'm pretty sure that leaves wouldn't exactly be the strongest thing out there, but you could absolutely do it. Again, it's very resistant to stain. It is pretty easy to work with. Price is not that bad, and it's readily available. You could find it a lot of different places. I'm currently making some right now for an individual. They're basic black. There's nothing groundbreaking about the material that I'm using or the color choice that we're doing, so I probably won't spotlight that, but maybe one day I'll do a video on how to make micarta. Again, it's how I make micarta. I always say that because I don't want people to think that my way is the right way or the only way or the best way. I'm just a small fish in a big pond, and when I show you how I do what I do, it's just my rendition of it. So in any event, there's a lot of options, there's a lot of pros, there are some cons, and the cons to it are mainly, I hear, myself included, people complain about the unnatural feel of the stuff. It's not, it just feels different in your hand. It feels fake. The last category is kind of one that I don't know that I made it up myself, but I'm just throwing it out there, but I call it the hybrid. And what that is are your stabilized handle materials, your stabilized wood, which is your most common. Now, what is that? Well, I can go to a website or go to a lumber yard or whatever and pick up a piece of nice ironwood, just raw stock ironwood if I order it online and get it and make handle materials out of it, which is good, strong, hard wood. I could also go to some place that has ironwood scales and get some nice bookend scales and use those as well. What stabilized handle material is that same product, and we're just using ironwood as an example, but it could be anything, curly maple, walnut, whatever. And they take it, and under a certain process, they put it under a certain vacuum and use a certain type of epoxy and infuse that handle material, that wood, or whatever you're using, with epoxy. What does that do? Well, if you think of a sponge, and if you were looking in a microscope and looking down into, let's say, wood, and really get down in there, you would see similar patterns, kind of similar patterns like you would see in a sponge. More lines, more like a pile of pine straw than a sponge, but sponge just happens to work for this example. And essentially, there's a lot of voids in there. And what do those voids do? Well, those voids are exactly what suck up moisture, stains. It permits rot and all those types of things. All the things you hate to deal with when you're dealing with a natural material. Well, by drawing a certain vacuum and applying enough of the right type of epoxy into those voids, essentially what you do is fill them, blocking them out, and now all of a sudden you can't do anything with it. You're not going to be able to stain because the stain won't penetrate into the fibers. It really gives you the best of both worlds. It gives you that look of a natural rustic material, but it gives you the benefits of a man-made material. Now, most people are going to say, well, if you're a traditionalist, why wouldn't you go for that as your obvious choice? For many, many, many people who are, it is an obvious choice. There are a couple of factors that deter me personally from using it. The first is cost. I've seen stabilized materials go for 4, 5, maybe even 6 times what the same species would cost untreated. So maybe, I don't know, you go in there and you want to make a knife for an individual, and somebody is really thinking about cost. If you're going to spend that kind of money on stabilized material, who's going to end up paying for it? And that's the guy that's trying to buy the knife. Now, I will not use those materials, but in an effort to try to keep costs affordable to individuals, I choose not to. But that's not the only reason I don't choose it. So I don't want people to say, oh, he's using cheaper material. Hear me out. If an individual requests it, I'll offer it up to them. They will end up having to pay extra for it, but I'll offer it up. I don't choose natural materials simply and solely for cost basis because I'm trying to work with the cheapest stuff. When you deal with a stabilized material, it is, like I said, infused with epoxy. There are drawbacks to that, and one of the main drawbacks that I've heard and that I feel is the fact that that material now has that plasticky infusion into it, and although it still feels like wood and works like wood, it's still got a bit of a different feel. I am a big fan of flame staining. Sometimes I'll go in and do some really good flame designs, and it doesn't necessarily work too well. Epoxy wants to burn and melt, and it doesn't really allow you to do that. It's a great material, and it's great stuff, and I don't have anything against it. Again, I like that look, and I want to feel the fibers in the wood when I'm holding that wood in my hand. Like I said before, I will treat it with oil, and I will keep it maintained, and I'll have it last me forever, just like the knives my father gave me and his father gave him before him. If you take care of your tools will last you forever. Again, nothing against stabilized material. I definitely like it. So anyway, guys, that's really, as far as the hybrid category goes, all I've got. I'm sure there might be some other ones out there that I may have missed, and there's definitely ones I didn't touch on deep enough. I could probably go on all day and give you example after example after example, and really just frustrate you with the length of this video. I want to go ahead and cut this short because I want to get into making the handles on this other knives, but I needed to get this out there to you guys today. Be on the lookout the next few days here. I want to get that next video out and show you the process it takes to install the handles. Do some research. Ask yourself what you're going to be using these knives for. If you're going to be in a constantly wet environment, maybe on a boat, maybe out at the beach or whatever the case may be, you're going to want something that's going to be more resistant to water. And to be honest with you, chances are if you're making a knife, you're going to be going with stainless steel, not carbon steel. If you're out on the beaches or on your kayak with your knife, and that being the case, you may want to lean towards something man-made just to make sure you don't ruin the knife. If not, if you're a hunter, that may be another reason you want to go with some of the stuff that's more stain resistant. If you're a traditionalist or you're going to be doing a lot of stuff in the woods and your options are open, you can choose anything you want. So at the end of the day, it's got to do a few things. Number one, it's got to serve you well when you use it, and it's got to fit your needs and your demands. And lastly, you've got to like the way it looks. I mean, let's face it, if the knife doesn't look good to you, you're not going to want to carry it around with you. And that's just the fact. That's just the way it is. So, stuff to think about, stuff to consider. You guys, I really appreciate your views, your likes. I appreciate you sharing this video. So if you enjoyed the video, if you liked watching it, please let me know. Give me a thumbs up. I need it. The channel needs it, and I appreciate it, certainly. You guys have a great day. Keep your eyes open, and I'll see you in the woods. Thanks. Oh yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe.